Hi everyone. Okay, first of all, I think I see a lot of familiar faces, so I want to thank you guys for being here tonight. Like, we really appreciate it. Again, thanks to the King's Arms for supporting us and giving us a space. And the reason I say this is because, every week now I see familiar faces. Mostly because we make our friends come here by force and invite the coworkers we hate to make them suffer. But no, seriously, so I think even if it's like our friends, now we're like getting to know each other, Like, things are getting a bit more intimate. Like, because my friends come and then they know Uriah, they even met the wife, so we're like getting to know each other more and more. So tonight, actually, I have a confession to make, because again, we're becoming now friends. And so my confession is, I've never said this before, but actually, I grew up Catholic. Woo! Woo! Yeah. Which basically means, I pray every now and then, especially when I'm on airplanes and we're landing. Do we have any other Catholics in the house?
I'm an Irish Catholic.
Oh, look at that, yo. The church fuck you up too? Alright. No one else, really? Oh yeah, hey. We can pray together later or something. So, I grew up Catholic and I did the whole thing. First, it was, I was baptized against my will, because I was a baby. Then came the first communion. Also, I was forced to do this against my will. I was 10. And I was even forced to wear a dress. Horrible. And that they take this really horrible pictures of you holding the thing with the gloves and the white dress. It's total cringe. And my mom got them in all sizes across the living room. It's horrible. And then came the confirmation. So the confirmation, for those of you who don't know or are not Catholic, is something you do when you're 15 years old, and it's so you can get married through the church. Which, this was the one thing I didn't do by force. I just did it though to hang out with my friends after school. And it doesn't really make sense that I did this because I'm gay. I can't get married to the church. So I grew up Catholic and I forgot what I was gonna say. Sorry, I got into the whole Christ thing in my head. I'm just oh yeah. So, I grew up Catholic and, every year we have Holy Week, right, during Easter. So we call it Holy Week, or how I like to call it, church-friendly spring break. Look, same idea, same holidays. We're getting drunk by the beach. We just don't get flashed as much, and we don't eat meat. So during Holy Week back home, in Venezuela, so we can have smart comedy. In Venezuela, most of us are Catholic. So it's a thing, right? So during this week, you have on TV, all of these Catholic or biblical movies, right? So it's running 24/7 the whole week. So you have cartoons for the kids, right? Egypt and the 7 plagues, or Noah and the animals, Moses and the 10 commandments. And this shit's running every year, the whole week. I watched it every time until I was 20 years old. And the thing is, although we're Catholic, we're fake Catholic. I wasn't going to church every Sunday. We didn't really practice our religion. So last week, actually, I was talking to my Jewish friends here, and they came with their friend Moses. And, and I was feeling a bit witty, and I was like, so Moses, where's your ark? He looks at me and he's like, dude, you mean Noah? And I was like, every year I would watch those movies, and this tells you what kind of Catholic I am. So yeah, I'm Catholic, and you know what I learned after saying that? Well, first, don't talk about this so much. And second, it's what they always say, the book is better than the movie. Not only true for Harry Potter, but also for the Bible. Another thing that happened last week was, I almost fell over here, that would have been worse. Another thing that happened to me recently was I was talking to my girlfriend, and she made me realize that I'm not white. And you have to understand, she made me realize that being white in Latin America is a lot different than being white in the rest of the world. I didn't know this. So my girlfriend comes home one day and she's like, hey babe, I was talking to some really cool people today, and they're gonna open this group for gay BIPOC people, and I thought you'd be interested. And I just stare at her, and I'm like, babe, I get the gay, but BIPOC, and if you're not woke enough, don't worry, this is kind of a new term. BIPOC means Black, Indigenous, people of color. It's a very American thing, you know, hashtag Black Lives Matter. But it's catching on, right? So I look at her, and I'm like, babe, do you think I'm BIPOC? And I just sat there for a minute, and she really got me thinking. Like, I had never thought of that term. I could never relate to it. But then her question got me thinking. And I was like, well, you know, my grandparents were Black. They weren't slaves because this was Venezuela, so, you know, that's in the US. But hashtag Black Lives Matter. Then I have one grandmother who's white. She has like Spanish heritage. So that's the one grandmother. And then I was thinking, my dad, if you meet my dad, he might come to the show next month. Well, in May, but hopefully they like us enough to keep us here until then. And my dad, if you look at him, he's like a Black guy with white skin. And my mom, she's blonde, tiny, pale white like a vampire. So growing up, they always asked me if I was adopted. And then, you know, I kept on thinking, and I was like, oh shit, and I was like, okay, so I look at my aunts, my uncles, everyone, and I'm like, well, the thing is, you can tell that we were conquered by the Spanish, but also that they didn't really do a good job at it. So I was like, just thinking about this new identity. And I realized that my whole life was a lie. It's like those people that call themselves expats because they can't handle the word immigrant. I don't know. I think it's like the third world vibes they can't handle. I don't get it. It's like, you know, and I realized this when I've been in Germany for 5 years, and I've always worked in these big international companies, right? And it's always the same. Like, I really don't get why some people there think they're better than others. And the thing is, I always thought children were the most entitled people in the world. That was until I met like the 20-year-old somethings that are making kind of decent money, and they act like they're like fucking Elon Musk of cocaine or something. I don't fucking get it. Now give me a second here because I just insulted half of the people, so I gotta. Yeah, so anyways, the thing is, if you ask me for real, like I've always thought, why do people call themselves expats and the whole immigrant thing? And if you see this online or you ask some people, they're like, what's the difference between an expat and an immigrant? And people, well, let's say some are like, oh, it's the money. And I'm like, it takes them like their last 2 brain cells to come up with that answer. And I'm just like, no, dude, we all know the real answer is denial and ego. Thank you, everyone. You've been lovely. Good night. Next up, Chris.